Hello, good morning or good afternoon, depending on your time zone. I can see that people are just entering, so I'll give everyone another minute as they're logging in. All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Shauna Thompson. I am the Director of Mental Health and Wellness here at YU and TFS. And I want to thank you for coming to today's Ask an Expert session. We have with us our speaker, Mark Wicken. And I just want to remind everyone, in case you're joining us for the first time, that you can ask questions while the presentation is going on through the Q&A tab. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, there's a section that has Q&A, and you can enter any questions that you have, and Mark will be able to answer them at the end of his presentation. All right, so as I mentioned, our speaker, Mark is currently president of the Mark Wicken Group, excuse me, an executive search firm specializing in the marketing, advertising, and communications industry. He is a marketing professional, educator, and author with over 35 years experience in Canada, the United States, and internationally. Mark has devoted much of his lifetime to teaching, education, and youth development, and is past president of Music Fest Canada, the largest annual education-based music festival in North America. He has been an instructor in marketing, business, career planning, and job search at the Academy of Design and the Toronto Film School, as well as guest lecturer at the Ontario College of Art and Design, Humber College, and the Rotman School of Business Management, the University of Toronto, McMaster, and Queen's Universities. Mark has also authored a book on job search for graduating students titled Remember Me, and he will talk a little bit about that at the end as well. So I would like you all to please join me in welcoming today, Mr. Mark Wicken.
Well, thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate it, and thank you very much for having me. To start, I think we all have to acknowledge that our lifestyles with this COVID pandemic has been turned upside down and has had a huge impact on the task of looking for a job for your graduating students. The job market environment has obviously changed, but the process of job search and some of the guiding principles have not changed. In fact, these principles are probably even more critical now that face-to-face contact is restricted, if not totally eliminated from the process. So to get started, I think it's important for you to understand coming out of an academic environment is the most unique time of your career. By that I mean, it's the only time that you are going to be coming from an academic institution to go into the job market. Once you're in the job market and you get some experience and you move around, the job search is an entirely different process. Right now, it is very unique because it's the only time you're going to be going from this safe educational environment into the job market. What that means is that to the job market, nobody knows who you are. You're going out there and nobody has any idea who you are. Now, I'm not suggesting that if you've been involved in a internship or a co-op program, you may have some context, but by and large, the job market does not know who you are. And you walk out of your school with a resume and you have your diploma, and those are the things that you work so hard for. But the problem is you all look exactly the same to the job market. The people that are doing the hiring see all the students come out and everybody looks exactly the same. And it's important for you to understand what you represent to that job market is potential. People are hiring you hoping that you are going to provide them with a good background that you're bringing to their business, but most importantly, that you can help and make a contribution to their business. So you are potential to the job market, but there is a risk. When someone gets hired, the employer is taking a risk, hoping that this person coming into that we're hiring is going to live up to the potential that I'm hoping, but most importantly, that they do the things that they say they can do when they're coming out of school. They present themselves properly, and they have the skill set to be able to do the tasks that we are going to hire them for. So you represent potential. Like that's really what you want to do. Now, when we go out into the job market, there is so much information. If you go onto Google and look up resumes or interviews, you will get hundreds of thousands of sites that have information about it. It is information overload. There is no question about it. The big point here to remember is that all of the sites that are out there with this information, they tell you what to do and they tell you how to do it. And that's fine. So they have sites on job search, sites on resumes, internet, networking. They tell you what you're supposed to do and tell you how to go about it. The one thing they don't tell you is why. Why are we doing these things? Now, someone says, I'm doing it to get a job. No, that's the end result of all of this. Why are we doing all these things that we're told to do in the job search? At the end of the hiring process, the person who gets the job is the person that the hiring managers remember. Very simply, the person who gets the job is the person they remember. They remember you for all of the right reasons, hopefully, but they remember you because you stand out from the competition that you're going to be competing against for those particular jobs. So remember is really important part of this process. Your challenge in your job search is then to be the person that they remember. So when we talk about remember and remember me, which is a theme you will hear we'll talk about throughout this presentation, this is what personal branding is all about. We've heard the word personal branding before. We don't think about it too much, but it is the key to your job search. What is your personal brand? Your personal brand is what people think about you when you are not there. Think about it. You're not there. They've met you maybe, they've looked at your resume, maybe had a phone conversation. When you're not there, what do they think about you? And that's really what personal branding is all about. And we can create and develop our personal brand through the process that you'll be going through in the job search. It is very important that you understand, and it's a big reality, there is competition out there. The people that you go to school with are competition for the jobs that you're looking for. There'll be competitions from other schools, competition from a lot of different levels. And employers have choices. When you're out there looking for a job, you're not the only person there, and an employer is evaluating you against a whole bunch of other people. So keep in mind that it is a competition, and the employers that you're approaching, they have choices. So therefore, your job search is really a marketing problem. Anybody that's taking a marketing course will understand you are the product. The employer that your company you're trying to work for, that's the consumer. Your job is to market yourself properly to that consumer. And that's what we're going to be talking about right now. Now, I have to make the assumptions that when we talk about things like a cover letter, a resume, networking, researching positions, responding to posted positions, preparing for interviews, we all understand these are parts and components of the job search. This is the price of entry. We need to address each one of them. And in the time frame we have here, it would be impossible to go into depth to each one of them. Clearly, if you understand that these are parts of the process, what I'm going to try and do is highlight for each of them things that I think are really important for you to understand that can really make a difference in positioning and presenting yourself to the job market. We talk about a cover letter, and certainly today more than ever before. In fact, I think it's very unlikely that people ever send hard copy resumes through the mail. So one could argue, why do I need a cover letter? A cover letter is a big, big part of your first introduction. It could be the first impression that an employer sees about you. Always, 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 always send a cover letter. Even if you're sending it through email, put your cover letter as part of this document, followed by your resume. The reason we do it because a cover letter gives you an opportunity to, one, tell the employer that you know something about their business. It shows you got good communication skills and you can articulate yourself properly. And it can also highlight things that are on your resume that you want them to know that may differentiate you from the competition. So if you choose not to put a cover letter on, opportunity lost. There is no downside to putting a cover letter on your resume. So keep that in mind and use that as a tool that will differentiate you from the competition. One of the other things that I always tell people to put a cover letter on with a resume, most of the competition won't do it. People will rationalize, oh, I'm too late, I'm too tired. They don't tell me they want a cover letter. You'll find all the reasons not to do it, and you can differentiate yourself by putting a cover letter with your resume. Resume, again, this is something we can talk about for a long, long time, and I assume everybody has got a resume in some shape or form. Your resume is supposed to do one thing and one thing only. It answers the question to the hiring manager, do I want to meet this person? When they look at your resume, if they draw that conclusion that they want to meet you, your resume's done the job. The next step, obviously, would be the interview. So your resume is really, really important because it can be a first impression and it can be the point that helps the hiring person make the decision to see you versus somebody else. Now, it is important also to understand that when you put your resume together, you can end up looking like everybody else if you follow what most people do and take a look at your resume. You tell people what you've done. I did this, I did this, I did this. I had a summer job, I did this, I did this. What you did is not important. What is important, you need to tell people what you have learned, what you know. Simple example, you could say, I had a summer job, I worked as a server. And most people would say, what did I do? Oh, I waited on tables and took care of customers. Of course you did. That's what your job was. How about saying, I worked as a server for the summer. I developed good communication skills, the ability to work under tight deadlines, and how to handle customer service. Oh, okay. I read that. That tells me you've learned something. That's something you're going to bring to the job. So everybody, take a look at your resume. Make sure you just haven't told people what you've done. Tell them what you have learned. You can differentiate yourself on the resume right there. Every time I do a seminar on job search, I say to myself, I should not have to do this, but I do it because every time I do a seminar on job search and I happen to get a chance to look at resumes, I say, I should have said this. No spelling mistakes on your resume, please. Please, no spelling mistakes. And I sure hope somebody's smiling right now. I'll leave that one aside. Spell check doesn't always work. Read your resume out loud. Don't just read it read it out loud. And if you want to take a clue from people that do copywriting, people in the advertising business, read your resume backwards, word for word. Sounds silly. It might take you a minute or 2 minutes to do it. But if there's something wrong, if there's a word wrong or something, chances are you're going to pick it up if you read it backwards. Then read it again, get someone else to read it, and then send it to yourself, send it to your friends to make sure that the formatting doesn't break up when it's sent to somebody else. This is critical. A resume that comes with a mistake or some problem with it, people will not go any farther. They will set your resume aside. And remember, the employer has choices. A bad resume or a resume that says some things that make them a little bit concerned, you're going to go no further than that. So really important quality control in your resume. The other thing, and this is very, very simple, the file name in your resume. I'm sure if you take a look at where your resume is in your computer, it says resume. Well, if I get 15 or 20 of these things and I have them on my desktop, I'm trying to figure out who these people are. Put your name on your resume. And you can also, if you're applying to a particular job, put your name and the name of the company. so that if somebody's looking for your resume with a bunch of others, they're not going to have any trouble finding it. And another simple thing, make sure that your email address uses your full name. And a hiring person can get thousands of emails. And if they have trouble finding you because your name, you're using something other than your full name, it only works against you. So again, small point, doesn't sound like a big one, but it can make a huge difference in the decision-making process and you getting to the front of the line. Networking, we could talk for hours about networking. It is going to be the most important part of your job search. You're networking right now. You network with your teachers, you network with your students, with people that you're at school with. Networking is really, really important. The one question that always comes back, and I know the school puts on networking events where employers come and you get an opportunity to talk to them. Students say, well, what do I say to somebody? How can I start a conversation? This is the best networking question. If you meet somebody who's in the industry, who maybe works for a company you'd like to work for, ask the question, can you tell me how you got started in the business? Can you tell me how you got started in your industry? You ask that question to somebody, and guess what? They're going to say, oh, wow, you want to hear something about me? And then just sit back and listen to them talk. It really works. It starts the conversation. It shows you're interested, and pretty good chance you're going to get some valuable information out of there. Small point, but you should have no fear of going to a networking event, and you should feel very comfortable talking to people. This is just a great way to start the process. We're all on social media. We do it. We've probably done it today. We'll do it after this is over. We'll do it tonight. We do it all the time. I'm not going to spend an awful lot of time on this. The only thing I'm going to say is be careful. Every employer, before they hire somebody, they'll look for your social presence and they'll take a look at what's up there and they'll draw conclusions. And if there's anything up there that's inappropriate or questionable, or maybe doesn't say the right things about you, it's over. And you don't have a chance to defend yourself. Nobody's going to phone you up and question why you did something or why you said something. You'll be taken off the list. So that's, I think everybody understands that. Really, really important that you know that this is a big part of the hiring process today. You're out there in a whole bunch of different social platforms. The world can see it. The interview is the one thing that most people fear. This is the one thing that is going to differentiate you, or a chance for you to differentiate yourself from the competition. Very simply, the person who gets the job is the person who aces the interview. If 10 people are being interviewed and one person just stands out from everybody else, pretty good chance that person's going to get the job. So really, really important that you treat the interview as the most critical part of the process. And an interview could be a phone interview. In many cases, most cases, it probably is be a Zoom interview like this with several other people. But the interview is really, really critical. And I'm going to go very quickly through this because this will help you sort of understand what's going on in the interview in the eyes of the employer. What interviewers are looking for, they're obviously looking for job qualifications, image and appearance, your communication skills, and your attitude and motivation. If this represents 100% of what they're looking for, what percent do you think qualifications are? Most people are going to probably say a qualification's got to be up there 50%. It's important. No, probably about 10%. Think about it. You're already in the interview. You are already qualified. If you're in why would somebody interview you if you were not qualified for the job? So qualifications, although they got you in the door, that should not be the things you spend all your time trying to talk about in the interview, because they already know that you are qualified. Image and appearance, obviously, someone is going to look at you and draw some conclusions. I'm not saying it's the way you dress, it's the way you handle yourself, the way you prepare, the way you've prepared for the interview. Communication skills obviously are important. Any job you go to, you're going to be communicating, whether it be through the internet, whether you're going to be communicating directly with a team. Communication skills are important. And again, remember, if you put a cover letter with your resume, you've already shown that you've got maybe good writing skills. So communication skills are important. The biggest part is attitude and motivation. Really, really important that you understand attitude and motivation is going to be a big part of it. The most common interview mistake is not closing your interview by telling the interviewer that you want the job. It sounds silly, but so many people go into an interview, the interview's over, you say, thank you very much, goodbye, and you don't tell the interviewer that you're interested and you want the job. Make sure that at the end of every interview, you have your little closing statement that says, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. I really hope you give me a consideration when you're fulfilling this position. Ask for the job. It's important. Again, a thank you letter. At the end of the interview, you walk away. A thank you letter, the real purpose of a thank you letter is to tell the interviewer, hey, I am interested in the job, and to say, remember me again. Another opportunity lost. Most people will say, oh, I'm not going to send a thank you letter. I didn't think the interview went well, whatever it is. Opportunity lost if you don't send a thank you letter. This is one, let's just assume you've landed the job. You've got your first job. After you've got your first job, what you're going to do is you're going to tell everybody you know you landed your first job. Really important. Go out there and all the people that you've talked to, all the people you've networked with, all the companies you've worked for, you tell everybody, I am now part of your industry. My job search is successful. This will pay off long into your career, because the people that you meet during your job search will be people you meet at other companies, other jobs. You may want to go back and apply for a job at a place that you did in your first round. Really important. You tell everybody where you are and what you're doing. So this remember me, keep in mind, this is really what your personal brand strategy is. If you think about it and look for opportunities to use the remember me theory, it will work in your favor. I have written a book. It's called Remember Me, surprisingly, and it's talking graduation to landing your first job, how to launch your career. It's based 100% on experience that I've had in the teaching was in the various academic institutions, and mostly information I picked up from the students. The book is called remembermebook.com. It's available on Amazon, and it's also available through Indigo. But it has, from beginning to end, all of the things that you need to know about your job search. I'm not here to sell a book. All of the information that is in the book is on my website called launchyourcareer.ca. It was started after I wrote the book. I started putting this Launch Your Career website together, and I would say 75 to maybe 90% of all of the information that is in the book is free on the launchyourcareer.ca. So don't go and buy the book. Look at Launch Your Career. I guarantee there'll be information there that will help you and help you develop this remember me concept. So that's pretty quickly, in 20 minutes, I've tried to wrap up what I've been doing for the last 30 years. And this remember me idea, I can honestly say it came about from talking to students. Students gave me the idea, and I have talked to so many students that have used this concept and used the idea to develop their own sort of remember me points in their job search. I know it works. Think about it, read about it, and figure out how you can make it work for yourself. So Shauna, that's the end of what I've got up there. So what did I do here?
All right. Thank you very much, Mark.
Did I lose you? Did I lose somebody or not?
No, we can still see you
Oh, okay.
and
I
hear
can't
you.
see you.
So, sorry?
I can still see you. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you mentioned the importance of networking. And outside of campus initiatives, do you have some suggestions for what students could do to network?
Yeah, we use, is this screen going on here now? Or is this,
It's just the end of the PowerPoint that we're seeing.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. No, I think naturally depending on the nature of the whether you're in the video game design or fashion marketing or interior design, industries have events. They have sometimes free events, and I think it's important to be close to the industry you're going to into, talk to your teachers, find out what's going on, check out the websites for any industry associations, and think about when you're really networking all the time. I mean, you can meet people. One of the big things is talk to your family, talk to your friends. People, I can tell you 100 stories of people that would say, they find out that their next door neighbor happens to, live in Toronto and knows Brian. And this is a true story. A person, if we know who Brian Gluckstein is, if in the interior design business, had a student who was talking to a neighbor and found out that the neighbor was Brian Gluckstein's sister. Gee, can you get me in your direction? Absolutely. I mean, it sounds silly, but I think we find 6 degrees of separation. We're all pretty close to somebody, I'm sure, in the industry that you're trying to get into. So it's just a broad sweep of every person you meet. Do it all the time, and recognize that networking may not necessarily pay off tomorrow. If you do it properly and build a network, it can pay off the rest of your career.
Okay, thank you. And someone is asking for your opinion. Do you think most people will work remotely in the post-pandemic world?
Wow, great question. Great question. I have a client I deal with. They are working virtually. So, about, say, for argument's sake, 40 people in the communications business, and since the spring, they've been working remotely. The president of the company loves it because maybe he can get rid of all the office space he's got, and everybody's going to work remotely. The problem is, and they recognize the problem is, when you graduate from school, let's just say you graduate from school, you go through the process to look for a job. Somebody phones up and says, "Hey, guess what? We're going to hire you, and what we want you to do is work from home." Well, no, I spent, the last 3 years of my life in school. I've been at home all these things. The last thing I want to do in my job is to work at home. So I think there's going to be a huge difficulty in people coming out of school getting all excited about the idea of a job where they're working from home. Now, I'm not saying it isn't advantageous to some people, but I think companies are having a tough time dealing with that, recognizing that maybe it works right now, but in the hiring process, especially companies that rely on young people coming out of right out of school, they're going to have to deal with that problem that people may not necessarily want a job where they work from home. So I think we're going to see in the next year a lot of companies maybe deciding to working virtually is the right thing, but a lot of them are going to find that it's hard to recruit new people and get young people out of school to accept a job where they're going to be sitting at home behind their computer. You want to get out, you want to meet people, you want to socialize with people, and all those things that we've all done when we finish school. So it's going to be different. It's going to change. A year from now, we might be talking entirely differently.
Thank you. And so someone is asking about changing their career. So for someone who has been working in an academic field and wishes to move to a position that's more hands-on, what advice would you give to that person?
Again, I think it depends on the type of industry that you're trying to go into. Every job you have, you develop skills that are transferable. Sometimes we have to think about it, to sit down and write it down. What am I doing in my current job? If you're in the academic environment, certainly there's skill sets you've learned that are applicable to other jobs. I think it's important to understand the skills that you've developed. A lot of people, are hard on themselves and don't give themselves credit for things that they've accomplished that may not necessarily be directly applicable to getting a new job, but certainly give you an entrance to talking to somebody saying, I've had this career, I did this, I developed these skills, I've been able to progress, I've been able to learn or adapt myself. I want to shift gears now and move in another direction because that's where my interests are, that's where my passion is. I think that a lot of the transferable skills make sense. And somebody who's in the hiring process, and if you're doing a lot of hiring, you see that. I mean, that's part of what a hiring manager has to do, is to look at somebody and see those hidden skills that may be applicable to the job that the person's applying for. So give yourself credit for the things that you've learned and the things you've done. Be able to articulate it properly and use it as a stepping stone into the next opportunity.
Thank you. And we do have to wrap up, but the last question, there were a few talking about where to find information on, I guess, specific industries, and a question was here about film. So any recommendations on where people could go to find information specifically related to their industry?
Well, I think that is, that's a fishing expedition on Google. There are industries. I mean, when you're on Google, you get the opportunity to search the world, and there are organizations, all over the world in the film industry. One area, and I'm just backing up here, and I have not even mentioned it, is LinkedIn. I'm sure we all know what LinkedIn is. Sometimes it's been around a long time, but if you're looking to get information and maybe connect with people in industries, get a profile on LinkedIn. Start doing some research, connecting with people. I use LinkedIn an awful lot in my search for clients. If I'm just looking to get the names of some people that might have on their profile something that I'm interested in looking for. So I would think LinkedIn is probably, if there's a direct, rather than just going on Google, get on LinkedIn, develop a profile on LinkedIn, search the film business on LinkedIn. You're going to find a lot of people on there that are in the film business. Reach out to those people. If you find people in companies that you might be interested in, reach out and ask them questions. How do I'd like to apply for a job in your company. Can you give me any ideas? Can you give me the name of the hiring manager? So I think to answer that question, LinkedIn would be absolutely the most efficient way of going, and probably the most direct way of getting into a particular industry.
And would this also apply to mature students entering the job market? Would you still suggest LinkedIn?
Yeah, very much so. And I think, again, but mature students, the same thing. You bring with you lots of experience from different areas. Make sure that you can articulate that. Give yourself credit for the things that you've done and the things you've accomplished and the things you've learned in your previous life, because those are the things people will look for in hiring somebody who does have 30, 40 years experience. There are opportunities out there. They may be hard to find, but you can't give up. There's no point in just throwing your arms up and saying there's nothing there. There are opportunities there. You just have to be smart the way you go after it, and don't give up. I mean, that's easy to say, don't give up. But I really think that especially mature people that have, and I see a lot of people that would be in their 40s and 50s looking for opportunities. Don't give yourself credit for what you've done. And the other thing I would say, pretty good chance your next opportunity is going to lie within your network. And I say this to everybody. Most of the time, the opportunities that are out there, you'll find them if you work hard at your network, rather than finding just by chance opening the newspaper and seeing an ad and says, wow, I'm going to apply for a job here. No, I think your network is probably going to be your best source of leads and opportunities.
All right, well, thank you so much. We had comments also thanking you, saying that you provided some valuable information. So we appreciate all the tips and resources that you shared with us today. And really just thank you for being our speaker.
Well, it's my pleasure. I love talking about this. Please look at launchyourcareer.ca. I don't make any money when you go on it, so don't worry. I just love to know that people have found some information there that is supportive of their cause and their job search. And good luck to everybody out there.
And thank you everyone for joining us today. This actually wraps up our Canada Career Month for the month of November. And we encourage you to join us next week, which will actually be our last session for the year. And our speaker will be Dr. Fred Dombrowski. So thank you once again.